Hello people, how are we all doing? Welcome back to the Celtic Corner. Myself and Corey are here as usual. For anybody that knows myself and Corey, you know that we also do another podcast called Off the Underside. And if you know Off the Underside, you'll know the two men that are joining us today. Two big St Mirren fans, great content creators. And I would say they're our friends now. Is that right, Corey? They're friends of ours?
Yeah.
Nah. Oh, well, I would say that you're my pals. So, Corey's just a strange man. So, you're definitely friends of us, friends of the podcast, and we're doing a Scottish Cup semi-final special here, because it's Celtic against St Mirren tomorrow. We'll talk a wee bit about the Dunfermline and Falkirk game first, but the last time that we done this sort of thing on the other channel and Off the Underside, it didn't quite go too well for us, a Celtic point of view, so we're hoping that doesn't really happen this time around. Well, I'm 2 years are hoping that doesn't happen this time around. But aye, so first of all, how are you boys?
Doing well, aye, doing very well. A bit nervous now. It's just, the sort of day before the game, but aye, doing really well. Thanks again for the invite onto the channel. It's weird that me and Ryan are now behind enemy territory, you'd say, being on a Celtic podcast, but aye, we're excited to be here, so cheers for the invite.
Good man, what have you been up to?
I'll be honest with you, boys, I was debating wearing the balaclava because I'm behind enemy territories here. Before we obviously get into all the good stuff, just Jamie's just called me and Robbie good content creators. We've got to get around the applause to these two up here. I mean, they don't just work full-time jobs; they have two podcasts on the go simultaneously. In a generation where people just don't want to work hard, these two set the benchmark for where you want to be in the Scottish football content creation scene. Absolutely brilliant content every single time. I'll be honest with you. I hope nobody I know's watching the only podcast I actually listen to. Absolutely tremendous work from you boys, and it's always an honour when I get the call up. It's like Ollie McBurney. You never think it's coming, but it just arrives in the post.
Mate, that's very, very kind of you. Really appreciate that, Corey boy. That's very nice.
That's very nice of him. This is probably the nicest thing he'll say, but aye, I like it.
You feeling bad now, saying that you're not really pals with him?
Nah, fuck him.
No, I appreciate that, mate. That is a lot of work in that, but we love it, so that kind of helps, you know what I mean? But no, yourselves are doing terrific work as well, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I know Buddy's bench hasn't been about for a while, but I'm sure you'll get back to that. But you're doing your own stuff at the moment. Pitch and Pat are still kicking about, isn't it?
On TikTok, it's kicking about. On Spotify, not so much. But just bringing it back in the World Cup at this point, the podcast. But peddling out content on TikTok, riling up the right people. My comment section is a brilliant place to be. Especially when I hit them with the replies. They just don't know what to do when I come back at them.
Be yourself, Robbie. What have you been up to in the old content creation world?
I am still just plodding at TikToks. What one was it I released the other day? Michael Stewart one, that done alright. That got a bit of, I know Jamie, you uploaded a video about that as well. So that was fun, but no, I'm doing the Buddy's breakdown on my YouTube, so that's my sort of main priority right now. That's been kind of fun to do that, so no, just plodding along. But just to echo what Ryan said, keep up a good what yous are doing, man, and we first on how hard it is to balance two podcasts at the same time. It's no easy, but they make it look easy, so I keep it up.
Thanks very much, mate. Really appreciate that. Same with yourselves. But so the reason we're here, guys, is because we're talking Scottish Cup semi-final weekend. We are 23 minutes away from the first semi-final. Dunfermline against Falkirk at Hampden. Battle rivals. Which I don't really know how, because they're not exactly right next to each other, but, apparently it goes back loads of generations where, they just don't like it. I know it's across the water and all that, but it's not exactly like 2 minutes down the road. But I'll read out the teams for anybody that's going to be interested in watching this later on. Dunfermline are Oxborough in goal, Mullen. But see, this is the thing, because you don't really know these players, man. I'm going to try and pronounce these names properly, but it's going to be difficult if I get it wrong. I apologise. But Abudua, you've got Nguemi, Todd, Ahmed, Gilmore, Fraser, Andrew Todd, Chris Kane, and Callum Morrison for Dunfermline. I think that's quite a strong front line they've got there. Chris Kane, Callum Morrison, and Todd. And then Falkirk, we've got Scott Bain in goal, Leon McCann, Liam Henderson, Philip Lacey, Connor Allen, Brad Spencer, Dylan Tate, Finn Yates, Barney Stewart, Ben Brogy, and Calvin Miller. So, first of all, we'll start with yourself, Robbie. What are you thinking of this game today? Who do you think are favourites? What do you think is going to happen?
I think Falkirk are obvious favourites, and what a job John McGlynn's done with Falkirk the last sort of 3-4 years. Never mind this season, but it has well overshot the mark. I'd say I think he's well overachieved of what any Falkirk fan would have expected coming back up. Falkirk won their top 6 contention at the start of the season. I wouldn't have had them there. I had them in I think I had them in 10th or 9th. So I had them just staying up, but they've well overshot the mark, and they've got the reward for it as well, getting a semi-final. A real big chance as well to make a final. Your rivals, I do believe this fixture happened about 11, 12 years ago. So, that there's been recent in this, but it doesn't make it any less big a game. This is massive for both clubs, and I think you've seen that with Dunfermline's team sheet on Tuesday night. They went very academy driven in that game. I think Neil was probably just preparing for this. He knows how big a game this is. You don't get semi-finals all too often if you're Dunfermline. I mean, you look at the route to the semi-final, they've been really, really impressive, that Aberdeen game especially. I mean, it could have been anything that night. It could have been 4 or 5. So, Neil Lennon's done a fantastic job. He's got them sitting third in the championship as well. As I said, I think Falkirk are favourites, but I think Dunfermline are going to take this on penalties.
Well, okay, fair enough, mate. That's fair enough. What about yourself, Ryan? You think Dunfermline have got a chance to go and do this?
Well, I never thought I'd see Neil Francis Lennon managing a championship team in a Scottish Cup semi-final after the COVID season, but here we are. I'll be honest with you, if you're a Dunfermline fan, nothing to fear. If you're any of the 4 teams really, you've got nothing left to fear in the competition. I've got Dunfermline edging it, to be honest with you. You saw the team selection on Tuesday night, gearing up for this game. So I backed Dunfermline today. Falkirk, brilliant this season, but in a derby game at Hampden when Dunfermline are up for it, I backed the Pars to go all the way.
What about yourself, Corey? You got to make it a triple whammy here, I think that.
No, I think it's going to be Falkirk. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I just think the performance last week against Rangers, scoring 3 goals, that's not an easy task. I know they never won the game, but just they've been consistent all season, really. Making the top 6, pushing for Europe. I agree with Robbie was saying. John McGlynn's done an amazing job all the way Faith League 1, and they've got them enough Europe. I think the squad that Falkirk's got compared to Dunfermline, I think it will be 2-0 Falkirk.
I'm on the fence for this one. I kind of think it could be a draw. I think I agree with Robbie. It could be a draw. I think the job Neil Lennon has done since he went out of Dunfermline has been terrific, and I was really impressed. I know that Aberdeen only playing well in that, but I thought that Dunfermline were excellent that night in the quarter final and stuff. But you've got to say that Falkirk have been fantastic this season as well. You know what I mean, finishing 6th in that, but I think it's going to be a really, really tight game, to be honest with you. But who do you see the difference makers being, Robbie, in the match?
I think you obviously point to Barney Stewart as being the main difference maker. He's the most informed striker in Scotland right now. He's playing amazing, having the season of his life. To come for basically nowhere to being a Premiership striker who's getting calls to be in the Scotland squad already, or get transferred to bigger clubs. It'll be a cracking season for him. You've obviously got Calvin Miller on the Falkirk side as well, who's had a just as impressive season, I would say, to be honest with you. I think he's been superb as well. And I know what you're saying, Corey. I think Falkirk, obviously, you look at that team and it is stronger, but you look at what Dunfermline done to Hibs in the Scottish Cup a couple of rounds ago. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with them. I know it was a very late goal that won Dunfermline the game in that sense, but I thought Dunfermline actually looked quite sharp in that. And you sort of look at them, you're looking at Andy Todd probably being Dunfermline's key player for this game. I mean, Chris Kane's obviously got some Premiership experience with St Johnstone as well, so he knows how to find the back of the net. But there's a couple of players for each position that I'd say could be difference makers. I think Oxborough and goals, you actually look at both goalkeepers. I quite like Oxborough and Scott Bain. So it's going to be a pretty interesting battle. For the goalkeeper sense, I hope it goes to penalties because I love to see what both of them do. I think it would be quite an interesting penalty shootout.
Yeah, definitely. Ryan, do you think that the fact that they're rivals could make this a wee bit more intense a game, to be honest?
Well, you've got a bit of tension there already, obviously, with Callum Morrison on the Dunfermline side of things. But look, you play the game, not the occasion. No, you play the game, not the occasion. Yes, it's a derby. Yes, it's a semi-final, but it shouldn't make much of a difference. You see Rangers and Celtic in semi-finals with each other yearly. It doesn't make much of a difference. It's who's better on the day. Sometimes it's not who's better on the day. Sometimes it just comes down to who wants it more. So I don't think it being a derby makes much of a difference, but there will be that wee bit of bite between the fans, which is what we love to see. Hopefully, we don't see what we saw in the last round of the Scottish Cup. We don't want to repeat those scenes, but I don't think it being a derby really changes the magnitude of the game for both sides because it's not often these two sides actually get to this stage of the competition anyway.
Definitely. No, the last rounds of the Scottish Cup, Corey, is just getting flashbacks here. Have you been lifted yet now?
No, me. I wasn't involved. I just got hot with it. I was getting hot with the debris.
That's what a guilty person would say, or not, to be honest.
Absolutely not, man. That was class. Really, it was actually quite funny. But I agree with what they're both saying. I think you do have to play the game, not the occasion. I think Dunfermline, they're kind of in an underdog situation, but they've got a good manager. But I feel like Falkirk is they're just a different animal. I think he was just going to. I don't think he'll be comfortable. I really don't, because like Robbie says, they gave Hibs a game. They've gave Aberdeen. They put Aberdeen out. They put Hibs out as well. Sorry, so it won't be easy. But I just think Falkirk's more technically better. They've got Brad Spencer in the midfield. I think he's a really good player. Calvin Miller as well. I think he's really good. Without talking about Burnley, but I think it would be 2-0. I'm staying with that, and I think Dunfermline will give it a go though.
You've got to look, say if you're Falkirk or Dunfermline, you've got to fancy your chances. I mean, you're not going to get a better opportunity in a season where Celtic aren't looking strong as they usually do, and St Mirren, as much as me and Ryan are going to flash up Craig McLeish take a tackle ball, we're no unbeatable. You know, we're not going to storm any team off the park. So you've got to be looking, if you're Falkirk especially. I think if we get through to a final here, we've got some chance to go and try and win this. And obviously, the fairy tale scene for any sort of Celtic man's having Neil Lennon and Martin O'Neill face it in the dugout. So what a chance Dunfermline and Neil Lennon would have if they could make it through to the final as well.
Definitely. So, Robbie and Ryan are both going Dunfermline. Corey's gone Falkirk. I think I'm going to go Dunfermline. I think Dunfermline might get this over the line. I think the Neil Lennon factor might actually, benefit Dunfermline today. And I think Chris Kane being up front, you mentioned, Robbie, that he's got Premiership experience, but not only that, he's won trophies. You know what I mean? I'm sure he was there when St Johnstone were winning their trophies during COVID and that. Plus, he's got European experience in that as well. So I've just got a wee feeling that Dunfermline might do it. I'm going to go 2-1 Dunfermline. Chris Kane to score.
I believe Chris Kane planted one into us, I think, in the semi-final, if I remember back in 2021. So he's got the experience.
Semi-final, Robbie. Don't mention that semi-final, lad. Still not over that.
Right, so let's get into that game will take care of itself today. We'll see who gets to the final, but let's get into our two teams tomorrow. Like I said, the last time we done this, I wasn't that confident at all because we had a certain Wilfred Nonsi in charge, and when he was in charge, I wasn't confident getting into any game whatsoever. But tomorrow is slightly different from my point of view. We've got Martin O'Neill, we've got players who are, performing a wee bit better and stuff. Robbie, what are you thinking tomorrow, mate? Are you as confident as you were the last time?
No, but that's only because the Martin O'Neill factor. Facing off against Martin O'Neill, and you've heard this for a few managers now, is a scary prospect to stand the touchline against. Never mind when you've got an interim manager who's really only coached 19s. That makes it a scary prospect. Am I feared of the Celtic players? I'm not, to be honest. The Celtic players don't scare me. They're not looking as good as And, a pinpoint the midfield especially, it's not looking as good as I'm used to seeing a Celtic midfield look. So, no, in my opinion, I'm not scared of facing a Celtic team. I think our players are more than capable of handling themselves on this big occasion. They've shown they can do it already against two top teams, by the way, in Celtic and Motherwell. Let's not forget that semi-final. We played a Motherwell team, and look at the season they've went on to have. Look at the players they've went on to have. I think they've got, 5 in the PFA Team of the Year. So, no, we've shown we can handle ourselves against pretty much anybody, but it's the pure Martin O'Neill factor that scares me for this game. Martin O'Neill just knows how to get his team through big moments. He knows how to get his team through big occasions. And it's going to be a super tight game. But I'm excited at the same time. I'm obviously very nervous. I think you obviously brought us on before the semi-final, the final of the last cup. Sorry, and I probably said the same thing to you, but the nerves are feeling pretty short now. With 24 hours to go. I'll just there. Sorry, I'm really feeling the nerves now. So it's going to be. It'll be an exciting game, I think. I don't see it going like it did last week at Celtic Park. To be honest, I don't think we can afford to start that badly again. I think we need to start a lot better for a St Mirren point of view. Of course, Celtic will be hoping they go out and start the same they did the first 10 minutes and try and get a goal the first 10, 15, settle the game. But I think, honestly, guys, I think the first goal probably determines who's going to win it. Because I said this yesterday, I don't think Celtic have the mentality right now, if St Mirren scored in the opening 10 minutes, to turn the game around properly. I think the crowd would get so intense. I think they get so nervous. I think the players would start feeling it on the pitch that I don't know if they could turn it around. I'd flip that around as well. If Celtic go 1-0 up in 10 minutes again, I don't know if we've got what it takes to turn that around properly. I think if Celtic, with the fans, and majority of fans, by the way, because I believe ticket sales for St Mirren are under 10,000 this time, if Celtic went 1-0 up in the first 10 minutes and the momentum was right on Celtic's side, I don't know how we'd flip that around, to be honest. So it's going to be an interesting game.
Ryan, where do you feel that St Mirren can hurt Celtic tomorrow?
I'll be honest with you. No, Robbie's obviously touched on the Martin O'Neill factor. Martin O'Neill's toughest game in his first spell before the Ted Lasso effect came into Scottish football. His toughest game was St Mirren. And let's not forget, and I know Corey's going to pipe up and say it's offside, young man, but we went 1-0 up in that game. But I genuinely believe that, and it feels weird saying this, I feel the game could be won in the midfield. I don't think Celtic's midfield is where it once was. I think they're off the pace. I think they're feeling quite leggy at this stage of the season. They've obviously played a lot of games of football, not very successfully this season. But I just think in the middle of the park, if we can get the ball to Jacob Devaney and let him run the show, I think it's a long 90 minutes for Celtic. And I also think Celtic are still susceptible from set plays. And obviously, it took 90 seconds last time. I'm going to throw it out there. It's going to take 60 seconds this time. We'll score within the first minute.
Oh my God, man.
Okay. Right, we'll be clipping that. Don't worry, mate. That's all good. Corey, for your point of view, Ryan mentioned there about the midfield and that. We discussed that quite a bit on here. Who's the best kind of three in the middle of the park? McGregor, Hatate, Engels, Oxley, Chamberlain, McCowan, Bernardo. Who's the three you would go in there tomorrow?
I would do Negrin, McGregor and Engels, if I was being perfectly honest. Just for the sheer technicality, the technical ability factor. I agree with both of them. I think our midfield has been woeful. We've been talking about it for ages. Doesn't matter who we put in there. It just seems like it's the same rigmarole that it just goes missing. And that is the part of the pitch I fear the most. If St Mirren can control the midfield, they can control the game. And I really fear for Celtic a wee bit. And just for that fact alone, I think we've got technically better players than St Mirren, no disrespect to them. But I do feel that on our day we could probably beat St Mirren 2-3-0. But I think the game last week is stuck a bit of fear in me because they did play the tiki-taka football and we didn't look like we had an answer for it. Our defence looked woeful. They just looked confused about what to do. They didn't know who to mark, how to tackle or nothing. They just they need to perform better in the whole 90 minutes than just play 10 minutes, score a goal and just hope for the best, because especially as a semi-final, and St Mirren will be up for it. So Celtic need to be up for it for the whole 90 and put on a good performance. We've seen it for weeks as well. We need a statement performance. If we could do it in a semi-final, it'll boost our chances in the league massively. But we just have to wait and see. But I do feel a midfield is the place that I'm scared of the most.
What about up front, mate? You know, obviously we're speaking about this as well a lot. I mean, I've watched several podcasts over the last few days, and literally the 3 podcasts I've watched have come up with 3 different front 3. So, like, I would go with Tenecti, Ian Acho if he's fit, and Yang. Who would be your front 3 tomorrow?
I can't argue with that, but I think it's the same as the midfield. We can chop and change it. We can put Maeda up front. We can put Tenetke out wide. We can put James Forrest on. It doesn't feel like it's making a difference either. But if you had to put a gun on my head, I would say I would rather Ian Acho up front, a more natural number 9. Tenetke, he's got that technical ability, but I've just obviously got that fear. He doesn't play for a full 90 minutes. He can't start the game, but he can come on as an impact player. And Yang, he has been consistent, but he's also consistently shite as well. So,
Consistently shite.
Yeah, he is. He can have good wee spells. Like he scored against Rangers and he played all right in that first half. Then in the second half, he was pish. So it was like he's always got that in him, and we can't afford that, especially now at the end of the season. Sorry, but I would say that's my favourite front 3 to go up front for the Celtic game tomorrow.
Robbie, I seen McLeish the other day talking about how he doesn't want to just go with, you know, trying to stop Celtic from playing, hitting the counter attack and all that. He says that they're going to go toe to toe with Celtic tomorrow, you know, and hand the game to them. Do you think that's the right approach?
Aye, 100%. You don't show any fear playing Celtic right now. You can't. That's when Celtic will build the momentum to go on and try and win the game. We need to take it toe to toe, and we did that last week. That second half is the best second half I've ever watched St Mirren play at Celtic Park ever, and I don't think Etton's even came close. Even to the point where we beat Celtic in 2021, 2-1 at Celtic Park. That I don't even think we looked that impressive that day, to be honest. Corey's right. We pinned Celtic back. Celtic didn't look like they knew what to do. They were punting the ball direct straight up the pitch, and it was coming right back to them. They looked a bit frightened, so we need to take that approach again. But we need I think McLeish is right. We need a complete 90-minute performance for the team now. We've seen spells. We obviously got spells in the Aberdeen game where we looked fantastic. You know, we even had spells at Falkirk as well. Obviously, we only won that one. So we've shown we can hit teams in spells, but we need a complete 90-minute at Hampden especially. And what will be, I think, a pretty tight game, in my opinion. You know, every other league game, and I'd include the game at Hampden as well in December, and that they've all been tight games. You know, I know someone obviously scoreline, it was 3-1 that day, but it was still a pretty tight affair at points. So every time we've played, I don't think Corey, I know a lot of Celtic fans are saying this about the, you know, getting the 3 or 4-0 win. I can't see that happening against us, our teams. I just think every game's been too tight for that to happen. But Jamie, one thing that I found interesting with McLeish was, you know, he pointed out that he can't go in with a one game plan. You know, we can't go in just thinking, oh, let's just go toe to toe with them for 90 minutes. You need to be adaptable against Celtic. You need to surprise them. I think we're gonna. I think there's gonna be different approaches to this. You know, McLeish has already shown he can tweak games whenever he needs to. Tweaked it at half time at Celtic Park on Saturday and came out and looked the much better team, in my opinion. So he's shown already as a guy that has only managed 4 or 5 competitive games in management. He's already shown he can handle it. So I'm excited to see what he comes up with tomorrow. And I think that's what's good about, good for me and Ryan, that we really don't know what we're going to be doing. You know, but we're a bit surprised by it and that McLeish comes out with. So it makes all the better for us. But I think the Celtic team sheet determines how the game goes. If Celtic pick Arne Engels, then you know what, they might have a wee bit of fight about them in the midfield. But if it goes with the same 3 that started at Celtic Park last week, I'd show absolutely no remorse against that, because they don't have the legs to deal with Devaney. They don't have the legs to deal with Killian Phillips, especially. And that if Celtic played Negrin, Oxlade, Chamberlain, McGregor, I'd be rubbing my hands together. Get excited for it.
That's fair enough. That's a good analysis. Just to let you know, the team's on the out at Hampden. If anything happens, we'll let you know. But Ryan, your man, Alex Gogic. We know that you're a big kind of obsessive fan about him. A wee bit creepy at times. But you know, how do you think he'll be tomorrow? Will he be a big impact player for you? Do you believe?
He always is. He always is, no matter what the game. He also, as we spoke on the last time I was on before the final, he also runs a red card risk at any point in a game. But I think he'll be pivotal. You know, he's a stabilising influence in the defence. Of course, at times he does go a bit gung-ho, a bit wild, and you're looking at him thinking, what you're doing, we're not WWE, UFC 25. But for me, we should take the game to Celtic. Because, look, you can't write Celtic out of the league title. They're still in it. They are still in it. Whatever you say or not, they're still in it. But all the pressure's on Celtic because they sort of need this a lot. They need this a lot more than us. We've won a trophy this season. So all the pressure's on Celtic, and a lot more pressure than usual is on Celtic because they could finish trophyless if we knocked them out. So I would have a go at them, and because I don't think Celtic have the mentality at the moment. I really don't think they have the mentality. If a team sticks it on them properly and a team can keep it up, sticking it on for 70, 80 minutes, you can have game done by the 80th minute. In the last 10 minutes, you can just pass the ball at the back and have some fun. Have the crowd chanting, "Ooh," every pass.
Can I fling a question back at you two? If St Mirren was to go on to win this game tomorrow, what does that do for Celtic's mentality for the season? I mean, does it hurt Celtic in terms of going back into league business? What do you think?
Aye, I do. I feel like we're vulnerable at the best of times when it comes to our mentality, and I think I think it's more CFUs perform a lot better than us, like kind of maybe embarrassingly in a way. I think that will affect us. Like, see if it's maybe last minute winner, but we played all right. I think it might be all right in a sense. It won't be as hurting as we're getting played off the pitch and you're winning comfortably. Maybe like the final, I felt in December that you were quite comfortable. We didn't really lay a glove on you. I didn't think it was as close as you were saying, Robbie. I thought St Mirren were excellent on the day, and I think if maybe the same performance like that tomorrow, I think it will hurt us massively.
I agree. I think if St Mirren win tomorrow, I think that it's going to dent Celtic's confidence even more, getting into the rest of the season and that. And it's just not what we need right now. Me and Corey were talking about this the other day on here, like how, you know, we're hoping, and I agree with you, Robbie, it's not going to be a 3-4 probably, but we're hoping it is. Do you know what I mean? We're hoping that this is maybe an opportunity for us to go in and get an early goal, get a couple of goals, get a bit of confidence. You know what I mean? That takes us into Falkirk next week, and then kind of take it for there. But it probably won't be like that. It probably will be like an edgy semi-final as it usually is. But you know, this could be Celtic's last chance at a piece of silverware. You know what I mean? So they've got to go into this game all guns blazing tomorrow, and you know, trying to get goals, trying to get confidence and stuff. And I believe that Celtic will try and do that, but it might not work out that way.
But I was meaning more with like a statement performance. If it was a 1-0, 2-0, that's obviously it's fine. But it's going out there and showing what we're all about. And Celtic haven't done that at all really this season. I felt Celtic they might have won games, but we've not performed anywhere near the standards that people have expected. And that's what I mean with the statement performance. We need to go out there, get that fear factor back a wee bit that we were saying. Frank McAvaney saying we don't have. Nobody feels Celtic anymore, but Celtic need that fear factor back, I feel, and I think just go in tomorrow with a good performance, and die pretty much. That's all I'm really hoping for, a good performance, couple of goals, and play Falkirk in the final.
Definitely. It was a huge chance here for Dunfermline, by the way, through and goal, but he's put it by the post.
Don't worry about it, man, they'll be alright. Falkirk will score.
That was a huge opportunity. Lennon doesn't look too happy that he's missed that. But anyway, so tomorrow's going to be an exciting day and stuff like that. Robbie, what's your score predictions, mate?
I'm going to stick with what I said yesterday. I've been kind of tossing and turning in my mind all week of what I want to say, but I'm going to go St Mirren 1, Celtic 0. I think it's going to be another tight game. You just look at you even go back to game week 1 in the Premiership, and obviously we travelled to Celtic Park on the opening day. That was even a tight affair. You know, that took a Luke McCowan really late strike to win that game. So I'm going to keep the trend, but I'm going to flip it on our side. You know, it's been annoying these last 3 league games not being able to score into Celtic. I know we done it at Hampden last time, but I'm going to flip the script and say we nick a 1-0 this time.
Ryan, what are you thinking?
Well, don't ban me from the Celtic corner, because remember, this is just an opinion. But I know you guys aren't like Ian Maxwell, so I will be allowed back on should St Mirren and Celtic play again soon. But I'm
Watch
going
what you're saying then. Watch what you're saying, son.
I'm going to go a bit I'm going to go a bit out there. I said this last night on the Scottish Football Zone. I'm going to double down on it if I'm wrong. Hold my hands up and admit I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be 3-0 to St Mirren. I think we're going to do a demolition job.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
He's banned. He's banned. Even
It's
for
not-
he's banned.
You're getting Michael Stewart, mate. You're
But the thing is, as much as I don't think that's going to happen, because I'm not as optimistic as Ryan, it's no out of the realms of possibility, is it? It's one of these things where Celtic's defence does look really weak at the best of times. I think if we just started hitting a few more shots up against that Celtic defence, you could cause issues. And as much as I'd dream of a 3-0 scenario again for St Mirren at Hampden, I don't think that's going to happen. But Ryan, I don't think you're a million miles off the mark if we can get our game plan right, and especially get that early goal. I think it proves better for us if we go the first 15 minutes 0-0. I think that probably bodes in our favour a bit more than Celtic's. But if there is to be an early goal, if it can be us that gets it, it sets the tempo for the match.
Well, I do
It's
think the only
sad
thing that
fact
is...
is-
Sorry, Corey, on you go, lad.
I was just going to say the sad fact for us, it isn't out the realm of possibility. You could probably hit us with an early goal and our arses could collapse. It could quite easily happen with this Celtic squad. That's all I was going to say.
I think that the only sad factor for me in this game is the big donut himself, who's probably never going to play a game of football again. Kasper Schmeichel's unfortunately not in goals, so you know that did dampen my 5-0 St Mirren prediction. But I'll be honest with you, I think Sinisalo's good, but I also think Sinisalo has his moments where he's not good, and that's where my confidence comes from. I think he doesn't really get tested very often because you play for Celtic, and despite Celtic being poor, I don't think any team's really tested him. So I think if you take shots at him, I think he's susceptible to a mistake or two. We've seen it I think it was Europa League. He made a couple of mistakes. So I say again, just fire shots at a goalkeeper, hope for the best. One goes flying in the top corner, my top's off, and I'm running around my house.
Well, Ryan, remember, we're probably getting into the game with our backup goalkeeper as well, Ryan Mullen, because it looks like Shamal George's probably going to miss the game due to an ankle injury. So I'd argue the same for Celtic. You know, we don't really even know what we're getting out of Ryan Mullen. Ryan had one comfortable save to make at Celtic Park, I think, and the 25 minutes he had on the pitch. We really get into the land unknown with Ryan Mullen. You know, we don't really know what we're going to be getting out of our backup goalkeeper if it is to be Ryan that starts the game. So I'd probably argue the same for Celtic. If you're a Celtic fan, you're probably wanting shots at Ryan Mullen if he's going to be in goal tomorrow.
I wanted to defend
Ryan Mullen, so I have full faith in Ryan Mullins, mate.
I just want to defend Sinisalo, and you think he's not been tested. I think the previous round at Ibrox, I thought he done really well. I thought again, no disrespect to St Mirren, but it was higher quality players. Then he was getting a lot of shots, but he seemed quite comfortable, and he commanded his box a bit well. So I think Sinisalo's a wee bit more better than you're letting on, and I know for a fact that I've just said that he's going to make a howler tomorrow. So
Well, the thing is as well, Liam Scales is suspended tomorrow.
Good.
So,
So
it's
who's
probably going to be
Arthur.
It's probably going to be Arthur and Trusty. So, Corey, let me ask you a question here, mate. Like, and I mean no disrespect to Ryan and Robbie when I'm talking like this, right? But you know, does it just sum it up though that the fact that they are so confident? You know what I mean? Like St Mirren, let's be honest, getting into a semi-final against Celtic, in other years gone by, they wouldn't be as confident as this. Does this just sum up just how poor Celtic have been this season?
Aye. It shows how poor we are in a nutshell, pretty much. But it's back to what I said about the Frank McAvaney thing. He says there's no fear factor with Celtic, and there's not. Teams used to come up to Celtic Park, and the best case scenario was a draw. Oh, we might get a draw, we might get a sneaky win. But now they're going in there with so much confidence. It could be St Mirren, it could be Motherwell, it could be anybody that's going in the Celtic Park thinking we can get a result here. Just need to, what the boys are saying, just go. They go at Celtic because they've got every chance to get past their defence. Their defence isn't the best, isn't as stable as we want it to be, and midfield's non-existent. So them saying just go at Celtic and their manager saying we're going to go toe-to-toe, it shouldn't scare us. Again, no disrespect, it shouldn't really scare us, but I've got a bit of fear that they might sneak a goal or two because I know how vulnerable our team is from in the midfield, in the defence, and we're lacking that killer instinct in the attacking sense. So I'm hopeful that we can get the result, but even Ryan's outlandish 3-0 still isn't out of the realm of possibility. That's just how poor we have been. I'm like, it could be 3-0. It could quite easily be 3-0.
You go back, right? You go back to 2013 when this fixture happened in the semi-final. You look at the Celtic team that game. Charlie Mulgrew, Azagiri, Victor Wanyama, Joe Ledley, Gary Hooper, Chris Commons, Samaras, Scott Brown. I mean, that was a fearful Celtic team. That was a team that no team should have stood a chance against. You go to Celtic's team now and you did a cross comparison. I don't fear a single Celtic player in that team. Maybe Callum McGregor when he's on form. Callum McGregor when he's at the top of his game, in my opinion, is an unstoppable midfielder. I really do think that, and I compare him to Scott Brown in that sense. Jamie, we had a deep conversation about Scott Brown on my channel. What a player he was when he was on top of his game. You're just looking at Celtic and you're looking at specifically at the attack and defence. Nothing about that scares me. No a single player puts the fear into me. Maybe Alistair Johnson would have had if he'd been available for the game. Maybe he would have, because I think he's a phenomenal right back. But no other player in that Celtic team, and specifically the two centre backs that are, well, I quite like Arthur actually. I think for what we've seen from him, it looks all right. But Trusty and Scales, especially, none of them strike fear into me like Celtic's old teams used to. So I think if you're us, this is the best chance you're going to get to make some history. And I feel if, I know I said earlier for Falkirk and Dunfermline, it's a big chance if you can get yourself through to a final. But for St Mirren and Celtic, you're looking at it, if you get through to the final, it's a good chance to go and win a cup. St Mirren have shown recently they can go and beat Falkirk. Celtic have shown it countless times this season as well that you can beat Falkirk. This is a big chance for us too as well to go and try and win a cup.
You've got that aspect as well, like you've got a bit between your teeth because like, we can go out and get a double, the unprecedented double. I know like the league form hasn't been where you want it to be, but there is that, you've still got that chance of winning the two cups, and I think maybe Robbie's right, like they might have that in their head, like go out there and make a bit of history, put Celtic out, and if it's Falkirk or Dunfermline, I would think St Mirren would still give them a game. Don't know if they would win against Falkirk. I think they would definitely beat Dunfermline, but I think they've got that aspect as well, which is obviously going to cause a bit of problems for Celtic because they've got that in their brains and going into the game.
Well, we've had regret, right, of the last three league games, really. I mean, the players have come out with some regret that we've not managed to score in any of the three league games against Celtic. I know obviously we've done it at Hampden, but you're now looking at a chance for the players to go and create more chances. The amount of times at Celtic Park last week where Alan Campbell is getting the ball on the edge of the box and he's maybe picking a sideways pass instead of hitting a shot, you can't really afford to do that. You need to create chances against Celtic. You need to put the pressure on them. I think Ryan's right. Jacob Devaney's probably going to be the pick of the bunch for the most influential player in the game. If we're on the ball with him and if we're getting him into positions where he's dangerous, then I never thought I'd say this against Celtic, but we'll run at the top of Celtic if we can get the game plan right. So it's going to be a really entertaining game, I think.
It felt in the second half you just missed that killer instinct of a striker or even an attacking midfielder just to take a shot. It felt like you got to the final third and you were kind of surprised you were in the final third, if you know what I mean. They were kind of shell-shocked.
I've
But I
watched St
think-
Mirren for the last 20 years, mate. I can tell you that's nothing new. Watching St Mirren, you get into the final third and you see your strikers think, shit, why are we up here?
But I think it was just the fact it was Celtic. Maybe it was just like, oh, it's Celtic Park. Maybe they were expecting it to be the way it was in the first 10, 15 minutes. But the second half, it was pretty much all used. And I said it at the game. I was like, see if they had an out-and-out striker, a proper out-and-out striker, you were going to cause us problems. You would have scored a goal or two, definitely. And like you said before, about if you scored a goal early, Celtic, I don't know if they would come back for that. I don't know if Celtic would have been able to come back for that last week, especially with Celtic Park, everybody on them. I don't know if they would be able to do that, but I think that was the only missing part for last week's performance for you. I think it was just that killer instinct of one of the attacking minded players.
Right, I've had enough for this. Right, this is the Celtic corner, no the St Mirren corner.
I know,
Right.
but
Fuck's sake, man, 3-0. St Mirren are amazing. St Mirren should have this. St Mirren. At the end of the day, right, here's what's going to happen tomorrow. Celtic are coming out all guns blazing, and it's going to be 4 or 5-0 to Celtic. Okay, that is what's going to happen. And then Robbie and Ryan are going to be like, you know what, we shouldn't have been that confident yesterday. That's exactly what's going to happen. Okay, guys.
You've only scored 4 goals into us this season.
And it's going to double tomorrow, mate. It's going to double tomorrow. I feel it.
But if St Mirren do put it off tomorrow, you'll see the Green Brigade banned from Celtic Park for another 6 months.
No, do you know what? Right,
No doubt,
banning
mate.
myself for Celtic Park if they just win 3 or 4 nothing.
I don't mind Robbie and Ryan like being all this positivity, Corey, but basically I'm sitting talking to 3 St Mirren fans here.
No, but the thing is, it's like, but how come I just feel like I don't see where the goals are coming from, and I've not for a while. I want Celtic to win, but it's just the performance.
Do you?
Aye, but you see, like you're saying 3-4-0, Jamie, who's going to score the 3-4 goals? Who are you relying on apart from Negrin? If Negrin's not playing tomorrow, who's scoring the 3-4 goals? Thank you.
Next question, please.
Corey,
That's what I'm saying.
Did you buy that Celtic jumper when this Celtic shop was up at St Mirren Park?
Aye, exactly.
Were you going to the St Mirren game and saw the Celtic shop and thought, let's go in there?
I just went in there with the wee badge, like he ironed it on for me. But it's just I try to be positive, but I can't find positives.
I know what you
just now. That's all I'm saying.
Corey, I know what you're saying, right? But just on what Jamie said, that's all. As much as Ryan saying 3-0 St Mirren's no unrealistic prospect, Celtic winning 3 or 4-0 is also no unrealistic. Celtic, as much as I get what you're saying, Corey, where the goal's going to come from, Celtic can turn it on whenever they want. But let's not forget that, like, just like I didn't think Rangers had 6 goals in them, never mind the 6 they scored up at Falkirk. The thing, and me and Ryan are obviously going to be optimistic because of the way Celtic are playing and the way it went last time, but a Celtic 4-0 is also no half the cards here, and it's no unrealistic because Celtic can do that to anybody whenever they want. So it's still, you know, we need to be careful. We can't go all guns blazing and you know, open ourselves up because Celtic will dominate the ball at times in this game. So we need to make sure we're covering our backs as well.
No, I get what you're saying, but I just feel like we haven't. Like you're saying, we could turn it on whenever we want. We've not turned it on at all, though. We've not had the performances. I mean, so I'm like. I'm trying to find positives, and the positives are like half. They're not real. That's like an enough guarantee. I'll be positive if this player was playing or we played this sort of style. Just because we've not had it at all this season. Like if on our day we could probably turn it on and do 3-4-0. That's what I was saying. We need a statement performance, and I've been asking for it for ages. Probably not likely it's going to be tomorrow. But we do need a performance just to give ourselves confidence, make just a wee kick up the arse with some of the players. But it just felt like there's nothing there as much. Like the intensity last week, it wasn't anywhere near as intense as I wanted it to be. I wanted us to make it uncomfortable for you, like not to be able to like think on the ball, just constant pressing. There was nothing of that, and it's been lacking all season. So I'm hopeful that Celtic are going to win, but I can't be too overly positive about it, to be honest. Unfortunately,
I agree with all you. I agree that if I was in you know, Robbie and Ryan's position, I'd be confident as well. I get why you're being negative, Corey, but I do feel that Celtic will win tomorrow. I do feel that I don't think it'll be 3 or 4 like nil or anything like that. I think St Mirren will score. I'm going to go 3-1. I think that we will get the job done. I don't know. Just a feeling. I think it's, as Robbie says, it's a Martin O'Neill factor thing for me. I just think that he will be experiencing that. I totally rely on him and, expect him to do the right thing during the match. If we need something changed or whatever, we need personnel moved on or whatever, I think Martin O'Neill will do that. So, I think I'm going to say 3-1.
I would throw back to that point though. Apart from Ibrox aside, when obviously Celtic came out in the second half and came all guns blazing, got their 2 goals. Obviously got a penalty, missed a penalty, then scored the rebound and all of that stuff. But I would argue, I don't see an identity with Celtic at the moment with Martin O'Neill. It seems like they're just happy to limp on till the end of the season. Hopefully get the cup, hopefully get the league. Jobs from mates with Sean Maloney and Foderingham, who's only around to, give high fives to the players after the game. I would argue, fair enough at Killy, he changed the game with his substitutions, he changed the game. But I would argue that Martin O'Neill, albeit he's been a great manager, I don't really see an improvement in Celtic since he's came in. No. And I would argue.
Definitely an improvement. Definitely an improvement for Wilfred Nancy.
Well, you can't get any worse than him. Let's be honest with you. But I wouldn't say there's been any
great improvement.
Great improvement. No, great improvement.
It's sort of get the wins and hope for the best. And
I get what you mean, man. I do.
Well, we spoke about this the other day. How we're in April and that, and we still don't know our best 11. No. If we had all the players together, everybody fit and all that, you would even be able to know who the best. And Martin O'Neill basically admitted that last week. You know what I mean? Like he played. Was it who did he play at Dundee? Corey, was it Fee and Chara up front to start with?
Aye. And then Iheanacho came on and scored.
And then there was a game though he played a striker, and then the following week he played another striker, and you're like, you don't know what your best 11 is here, sort of thing. And
he tried to be Adamu. He tried it with Fee and Chara, and I don't think I don't know if it's like he trusts Iheanacho to start the game, or if he's not that fully fit. But he's the only one I would say he's no for the get go. But I put him on and play the 90 minutes. I think he's the only striker. But I do get what Ryan's saying. There's not been great improvement, and it's just kind of like, let's just try to get 3 points. It doesn't really matter how we're performing just at this time of the season. But I find it strange just thinking about it. Like the first time Martin O'Neill came in, it felt there was a bit of intensity, a bit of a drive, a bit of a kick up the arse. We were playing a lot better. We were beating teams at 2-3-4 nils that would be kind of expected against certain teams. But once he came back, that's not been there anymore, which I find really strange. Like, because when Nancy left, Martin O'Neill came, before Nancy came in, and Martin O'Neill had eight or 9 games. We looked amazing. We looked really good. But I don't know how or why we don't have it anymore. We don't have that flair about us, a wee bit depressing and all. That's not anywhere near the same as Martin O'Neill was. So the first time around, so I'm like, that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around. I just don't get how we're not the same team as it was a couple of months back. Same players, pretty much.
You even go further back than that, right? And I think a lot of Celtic fans, and rightly so, hold regard up to the way Ange used to play, right? And you look at I always go back to the Tannadice 9-0 because that's probably my favourite neutral game of all time. Watching that Celtic attack in that game was frightening, and Kyogo especially, who's probably one of my favourite SPFL strikers I've ever watched. I absolutely love watching him. And Celtic, rightly so, hold regard up to Ange's performances and that sort of level of performances where you were sweeping teams under the carpet. We were going to Celtic Park and going, all right, that's just a fling away game because you're never getting anything out of this. I don't think Celtic have ever fully replaced that sort of Kyogo factor, and that's been Celtic's biggest hurting factor, I feel, because if Celtic were to start Chavin Chara up front tomorrow, I'd be loving it. I'd be partying in the pub already, and the game's not even kicked off. You know what I mean? If Celtic has genuinely announced Chavin Chara, I'll be flying off the ceiling, becoming on the way to Hampden, because I just don't think he's Celtic. You look at Celtic strikers of the years. You look at Odsonne Edouard. You look at Dembele. You look at Kyogo. You look at all these other guys, you know, you go back to even Chris Commons and all that, you look at some of these Celtic attackers and Celtic strikers that have played early years, they used to give me the genuine fear. I mean, Odsonne Edward used to run rings around St Mirren back in the day. I remember Odsonne Edward playing up against Kurt Broadfoot and Callum Waters and all the rest of it, and I'd just be like, aye, we've got no chance here. Now you're looking at it, and I think it's a bit of both. I think it is Celtic have dropped half in the lack of quality up front, but St Mirren have also strengthened. You know, I've never felt more positive getting into a game with Liam Donnelly at centre back and Miguel Freckleton and Gogic. And you know, if you had told me 4 months ago under Robinson, if you went into that Hampden final with Liam Donnelly at the back, I probably would have laughed at you and just went home, to be honest, because I would have felt we had no chance. But now you're looking at these players, and you know, I think there's got to be positives and negatives swung both ways. I think Celtic fans have every right to say they've got a lot weaker, but St Mirren have got a hell of a lot stronger for the teams we used to put out. So it's one of them. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Aye, very much. I would say so. Then I agree with you we haven't really replaced Kyogo. We've tried it with Ida. I thought he was an alright player, just wasn't Kyogo. I think we've had that before. There was a period when Henrik Larsson left. We tried to replace him, and everyone was saying, "I bet he's no Larsson. He's not as good as Larsson." And then after we started kind of edging away from that, and we've got like Gary Hoopers and stuff like that, and they were really decent. So I think you've got you've got an idea there. You're spot on. That we've not really replaced Kyogo, and we've not been able to build a team around anybody. And also you're saying that you're no fearful of Celtic. I'm just going to go back again to the Frank McAvaney thing. Nobody's scared of Celtic. Nobody's scared of Rangers either, I would say. That's why you're getting these crazy results like 6-3 at the weekend there, or just us pretty much scraping a result against yous. And it's for that fact that you don't have that fear anymore. And it's sad to see for our side. Obviously, it's brilliant for yous, but it's sad state of affairs for Celtic.
But I do think the big difference between Rangers and Celtic is that the forward line, and I think it's the only reason Rangers are still in the title race, because Chermiti's decided to turn into prime Maradona for the running. So I think that is the big difference. Celtic haven't replaced Kyogo. They've let Johnny Kenny go on loan to Bolton, where he's ripping it up. I mean, it's 3 goals in 3 games for him now. So I think Celtic's biggest problem is a striker. And in January, I don't think they took the striker search that seriously when you brought in 3 strikers. 2 of them are on loan deals with options to buy. So that screams to me like they weren't really rated. It's more, we need strikers in. There's this 6'6" shithouse. Let's bung him in. And then there's this wee pacey guy. Let's get him in the door. So I think it is a problem. Celtic don't replace the forward line effectively for a few years until after shit hits the fan, basically, where they have a few years where they're very, very poor. Then it's like, oh shit, we might need to go get a striker now.
By the way, Rangers have never replaced Cyril Dessers, and I don't care what him this is. Chermiti's not a good striker. He's no Rangers level compared to some of the strikers you've even watched with Rangers. So, but you just feel Rangers they're also showing their fear, and that's what I think the difference is between Rangers and Celtic. Rangers aren't showing that fear. You know, that Danny Rose telling them to go out and leave everything on the pitch. I'm sure Martin O'Neill's telling Celtic players the same. But Celtic players just have the bit of fear in them. I feel when you watch Celtic, they just, and you look back to last Saturday at points, I thought Celtic players had that bit of fear factor. They looked like they didn't have a clue what to do against St Mirren. And I couldn't tell you any time that's ever happened. Where I've played, we've went up to Celtic Park and they've not had a clue how to beat us. Never mind the other way about. And I know obviously Celtic did get the job done that day, but you know my sort of point. It's now looking at a Celtic team that don't look like they know what to do. And that's when I'd be worried as a Celtic fan. That's when I'd be saying, right, this summer, whoever the permanent manager's going to be, the club, you need to go out and you need to make a statement, because next season's probably just as big as the running is for this one.
Oh, next season's absolutely huge, man. During the summer and all that, but it's going to be incredible. But where are we watching the game tomorrow, Trips? Corey, you got it, aren't you?
I'll be at Hampden.
Beat yourselves, boys.
I will also be at Hampden, so I'll make sure to fling my balaclava on and go find Corey at some point during the game.
I've got a bag of £1 coins just getting chopped over that side.
I'll just be watching it for the comfort of my own couch, as usual.
I'll be watching it from the comfort of my own couch on Premier Sports. Definitely on Premier Sports. And we have to, and I'll be honest with you, if we get the job done, that bottle of Jack Daniels that's in my fridge will be absolutely tanned come 6 o'clock.
You keep Jack Daniels in the fridge?
I keep Jack Daniels. I like my drink to be cold.
Oh, I know, but like that's what you get ice, or you put your juice cold, huh?
Aye, but I'm just weird like that. We know this by now, Jamie.
Doesn't surprise me, mate. Doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you.
Ryan, are you not having drinks before the game?
I'll be honest with you, mate. If I have drinks before the game, I won't actually see the game because I won't be able to see the screen straight.
Mate, me and my old man are off to the local at like 10:30. I can't wait, man.
When Robbie's lifted outside handing, you know what's happened.
Nice one. Well, I hope you kind of enjoy your day, but obviously not the football, mate. But
basically, you hope we have an all right Sunday, but
we Sunday morning
2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. You hope it's shite.
Yes, pretty much. But I'm sure the feeling's mutual now, guys. Before we go, Robbie and Ryan, tell us what you've got coming up on your channels and your podcasts and that.
Ryan, I'll let you take the ropes first.
Let me take the ropes first. Jesus, well, peddling out some TikTok content seems to be going well right now. Getting some good numbers on that. Pitch and part of the actual podcast returns for the World Cup, when the Tartan Army go and absolutely spoil the American party and win the whole thing. Buddy's Bench as well, that's back in the summer. Me and Robbie, just call us Mr. Inconsistent at this point. And there is a third podcast that I am launching based on boxing with my good friend Alex from the Dugout. We will be launching a boxing podcast in the next few weeks. Now he's done his uni. We will be launching that. And what a time to launch it when the heavyweight scene's on fire. You've got the big Gypsy King making his return from retirement, his 500,000th one. Hopefully that fight with AJ gets made. But a lot of content's coming your guys' way and a lot of entertaining stuff's coming your way. And it's me at the end of the day. You can always have add that wee tiny bit of controversy and bit of personality into it too.
Definitely.
What about yourself,
Robbie, bye.
I'm just cracking out TikToks again. I've sort of launched the sort of Buddy Breakdown sort of pages on TikTok and YouTube now. I feel like I've taken a lot of inspiration for you guys and like, you know, a lot of different sort of Celtic podcasts. I feel Ryan 118's been huge on my return as well, and I've taken a lot of sort of ideas going forward. I love making the tier list videos, especially. I've made a couple now on YouTube that have been so fun to make this sort of different type of videos, but they're so good. I've also got the sort of Scottish football zone, which I do every Friday and Sunday, which has obviously been very good. Ryan was on Friday night. That was fun. I finally get him on. That was his debut episode. He done well. The lad didn't swear for 2 hours. So
getting me on that podcast, man.
That's hard, isn't it, man? That's hard.
What would they think in getting me on it? I actually asked them. I was like, "Do you know who you sent your invite to here, boys?"
You done all right. I've also got a Bullseye Banter podcast that me, Regan, and on darts, so that's fun. But no, I'm just trying to crack out interviews. Obviously, I had Tino Callahan on my channel on Thursday. That was a really fun interview today. And I'm just trying to crack out a few more interviews on it. They get you boys back on as well for a couple of interviews, maybe after the game, depending on how it goes. You might no want me to get you on after the game, depending. But no, I am just plodding along, boys. I need to be careful because if St Mirren beat Celtic, I might not have a full-time job because my boss might sack me. But we'll see how the game goes on Sunday.
Magic, right? Great time to leave it, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. All the best. Have a great day.
Cheers.